All right, last example. Example 5, I have x squared minus 22x plus 1 equals 24. All right, and I can see that I have this equal sign. I have this roots down here, so I'm going to complete the square. So I'm going to change it from standard to vertex form so that I can solve by the square root method. Before I can even start doing that, I have to make sure that all my terms are on the same side of the equal sign and are in standard form. So I'm going to subtract this 24 from both sides by subtracting it with the 1. So I'm left with x squared minus 22x minus 23 equals 0. All right, now I'm going to go complete the square. So I'm going to take half of my b and square it. So negative 22 divided by 2 is negative 11, and negative 11 squared is 121. I'm going to go rewrite the left side of my equation. I'm going to put parentheses x squared minus 22x plus a blank in my parentheses minus 23, which is my c term, minus a blank, and then it equals 0. Okay, and I'm going to add that special number that I found, 121, 121. Now I can factor or I can do the shortcut. So I'm going to have x, okay, inside my parentheses, or what's half of negative 22 is negative 11 squared. And then I'm going to add negative 23 plus negative 121, or subtract negative 23 minus 121, and we get negative 144. So there is vertex form. Now I'm going to solve by the square root method, okay, which means I want to isolate the square. So I'm going to add 144 to each side. So I'm left with x minus 11 squared on the left equals 144 on the right. Now that I've isolated the square, I want to get rid of it. And the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So I'm going to take the square root of the left and right. But I want to do the plus or minus, because on the left side, the square and the square root cancel. So I'm left with x minus 11. And on the right side, I'm left with a plus or minus. I'm looking at this 144. I'm like, ooh, this is a beautiful, perfect number because it is a perfect square number. The square root of 144 is 12. So I've gotten rid of that square root. Now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to create my two equations. So I'm going to have x minus 11 equals a positive 12, and x minus 11 equals a negative 12. So for the first linear equation, I'm going to add 11 to both sides. So I get x equals 23. And my second equation, I'm going to add 11 to both sides. So I get x equals a negative 1. All right, so there are my roots. Again, solution, zeros. Okay, and I'm going to write these as coordinate points since it's asking for a specific x-intercept. So 23, 0 and negative 1, 0.